what were the biggest focuses from today, and how was it being back day one?
I mean, it's great to be back. It's fun to have all the guys in the gym. The energy was good. They were excited to be back and get started. Focus was just on the foundation. The guys that were here, kind of a refresher, and the new guys, just teaching the details of our system, both offensively and defensively.
What were the early impressions of the new guys?
I mean, it's, nothing yet. You watched them on film, you studied them, so you have a pretty good idea. To watch them work is a little bit different. And, they were putting forth the effort. They were communicating well, bringing their experience from different places to the group, asking the right questions to make sure they know exactly what's needed of them and what they're supposed to be doing. So, so far so good, but it was only an hour and a half.
You mentioned a few times yesterday that Max and George were two guys that you targeted at the start of free agency. When it comes to Max in particular, why was he so important for you guys to add this offseason?
I think everybody talks about the shooting, and I think that's an obvious piece. But there's a movement that goes with his shooting that's disrupting the defenses as well. He's not just a guy who you leave in the corner and he's a standstill spot shooter. He's a guy that can be a disruption because teams have to chase him, and he plays at a speed that forces defenses to make tough decisions quickly. He's also the type of person that we value here. Again, I think everybody knows his story about how he had to earn everything and earned his way into a starting position on an NBA Finals team. That's not easy to do for guys that, but what it does is it shows the type of character that he has and his ability to handle, disappointment, adversity, and not put his head between his legs, but continue to fight and figure it out. We talk about people here first, talent second, and again, I think we hit a home run and the type of person we got, and then throwing talent on top of that.
In terms of stylistic changes on the offensive end, J.B., last year you guys ran pick and roll with the frequency of anybody else in the league, right up there at the top. And Darius is an elite pick and roll player, and Donovan and Jarrett's a great screen center, and all those different things. Like, how do you make sure that you implement the changes that you want to make now that you have the new personnel, but don't lose the foundation of your offense that made it a top 10 offense with the pick and roll?
I think we have to get there and disguise it a little bit. There's so many different actions that we can run that can get us there. But I think it's also more effective and more efficient if teams don't know it's coming. So I think last year, as great as our guys were in the pick and roll, if you can disguise it and trick them with a backdoor cut or an off-ball action, and a layup here, and now teams are so worried about that other stuff that they're just not prepared for the pick and roll, I think our guys become even better at it. So, disguise it, move people around a little bit, but still give the guys the opportunity to play a game that they're elite in.
So the answer you give Chris, do you like Max to stand in the corner and wait, or do you want him coming out pinned down?
I think it's a combination of both, right? I think early through the clock, the more movement, the better. When a secondary action starts to happen, then all those guys have to hold their space so people know where their outlets are. And, I think what you'll see is it's going to take a little bit of time for Max and our big guys to figure each other out. Our big guys are used to playing with Donovan and Darius, who play pick and roll, they attack, they find him. Like, Max really likes to throw the ball and chase it, and then maybe get to a second action. If he doesn't get the chase, now it's a full cut, he gets the late layup. So it'll be, a little bit of both, and I think he just has to read the play on the strong side and when he's the active guy on the weak side.
You couldn't really play a four-shooter. That's something.
Yeah, it's, all this stuff comes down to space, and space starts with the fear of guys being able to make threes. Again, we're not going to be a team that comes down and just jacks the first three. We want to find the balance so that our offense helps our defense and our defense helps our offense. But again, guys with reputations that we have now, people are less likely to run off of them and help. So, now guys can continue to do their thing. If they do want to help, now we can make them pay. So I think there's a balance that we'll have to find in both those situations.
J.B., Max mentioned that Kevin left a big part of Kevin's attachment. What does that say to you about the culture you built that guys who played for you, played in this organization,
I think that's the job we were tasked with when we first got here. And one thing that I'll say that's, been continuous is before we got here, obviously, they were in the finals and going on championship runs. Very easily could we have become not a championship organization. If we knew the rebuild was coming, we were going to start from scratch, ownership, front office could have started skimping on the things that make this place a championship organization. And they never did. 19 wins, 22 wins, whatever it was. We always felt first class, and we always felt like we were being treated as if we were going to win championships. And that's a credit to Dan, Grant, Kobe, Nick, all the people who make those decisions. And I think the players see that. They see that there's a commitment to being as good as we possibly can. And we haven't been told no as far as resources to help us compete, whether it's video equipment, whether it's analytical equipment, whatever it may be, coaching staff additions, we've been told yes so that we can get the most out of our group and get a competitive edge. I think people respect that. Then the guys that we have here, they sell themselves, people want to be next to Darius and Donovan and Jared and Evan and Karis, go on and on. People respect them and want to play with them and, treat each other like human beings and care for one another. That's what these guys do, so it's an easy sell for somebody.
And speaking of Darius, Donovan, and Karis, we were talking about how Max can help the bigs a lot. How can Max help the guards and guys like Karis as well?
It's, again, the threat that people have to worry about and chase him. If, again, you've got Darius, Donovan, Karis, and a big guy playing on the strong side, and you've got a big guy and Max playing on the weak side, you eliminate the weak side help because now they're chasing Max off those screens. You're playing 3-on-2 advantage basketball on the strong side. So, that threat just opens the floor and helps you eliminate help. And if they want to help, now you're going to get Max on a catch and shoot, or you get the other big at the rim. So there's just a lot of things that you can do to be dynamic on both sides of the floor that can help those guys. And, Max is capable of doing that.
Darius said something yesterday about
Who did? I'm sorry.
Darius, about being put in uncomfortable positions throughout the season. In what way do you plan to do that with you guys?
It's just, how can we find as many ways to disrupt routine as we can? How can we make things difficult? I think, our guys, because they've been so good and things come so easy, you have to find bumps in the roads and you have to find ways just to be disruptive. And I think, we all learn those things as we get older and we have different experiences. Each level, something is different. And it's our responsibility as coaches, to challenge them. Make this training camp as difficult as we can. The middle of the season, disrupt routines. The games are going to bring their own adversities, but I think we have to do a job of, figuring ways to challenge more mental toughness because the body will take you through it if the brain leads you.
Whether it was the other night or yesterday before media day or today before the first official practice, what message are you trying to send to the guys as the new season starts? Our sole focus is on what we're doing. Whatever is happening on the outside doesn't matter. Whether it's another team, whether it's, people on TV, beat writers, whoever it is, what they say has no impact on what we do. There's a term that we kind of picked up on. It's a surfing term, actually. It's ride your own wave, right? So the next man wave has absolutely nothing to do with the wave that we're on. So that's been our message to our guys is no matter what happens,
All we got to do is ride our own wave, focus on what's important to us, and we'll be the best that we can.
Where'd that come from, you?
It's a song, actually. You know who Kid Cudi is?
Yes.
There you go.
I'm hip.
Yeah,
I'm with it.
I see. I can tell. No, I was listening to one of his songs. The song is called "Surfing," and that's what he's talking about in his song. Is riding his own wave, and that's kind of where it came from.
JB, yesterday Tristan told